Hi friends, Travis here. If you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you, and of course, if you've been here before, welcome back. In today's weekend update video, I have a few things to talk about. If you've never seen one of these videos on my channel before, I try to do them every weekend. I don't always, but at least a couple of weekends a month, I'll put together an update video for you all to watch. Basically, it's a pretty unscripted video, but I do have a list of, bullet points that I like to discuss. I tend to talk about my previous cruise, if I'm just coming off of one, and obviously what my next adventure is going to be, and then some sort of current event that's going on in the travel industry, and then I close out with some sort of life update or whatever. That's kind of the format that I've been following. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. First, let's talk about my previous cruise, because that's obviously very fresh. I just got off the MSC Meraviglia, where I did Yacht Club for the first time. I know there's a little bit of confusion because I was on MSC Meraviglia in November as well, and that vlog series hasn't come out yet. I'm finally working on editing those vlogs, and they'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about the Yacht Club experience as a whole in a separate video, but I did enjoy that cruise, and I can't wait to share that adventure with all of you in the near future. My next cruise is actually a little bit of a new development. So I am supposed to go on the MSC Seascape with my sister in March for her birthday, but I've actually added one in before that, and I'm actually going to be on Carnival Elation again before that. And so basically the story for that is long and drawn out, but I'll give you kind of the Cliff Notes version of it. Basically, I was in Miami for another cruise, and I met a guy, and he was actually on his way to Jacksonville to board the Elation as a crew member for them. And I didn't really think much of it until I was actually on the Elation recently, and I ran into him again, and turns out he's Fun Squad, and, all that stuff. And we kind of hung out a little bit and, whatever. And at the end, we exchanged contact information, which is something I've done with crew members and stuff in the past, as well as, other passengers and stuff. I have almost every single cruise I've met someone that I've kept in touch with. So I didn't think much of it, but then I was looking at different cruise options and whatever, and a pretty good deal came up for the Elation. And, so I was talking to him, and he was like, come on board. I'll, try to get you behind the scenes access, etc., blah, blah, blah. And so I was kind of like hesitating, but ultimately, it got the best of me, and I decided to rebook the Elation again. And hopefully I'll get to see some of the crew areas and all of that, and either way I'll get to hang out with a friend and, get to know him and the ship and the overall, kind of crew experience a little bit more, which is, always a good thing. And yeah, so I'm actually going to be putting out the Elation vlogs from my Elation cruise that I went on in January before the Meraviglia that was from November. And I know that's weird. I know I keep flipping the order of things, which hopefully isn't confusing you all too much. But it's just because I want to make sure that those Elation vlogs come out before I go on the Elation again, so that doesn't cause more confusion, because I think that not doing the Meraviglia vlogs before going on the Meraviglia again caused some confusion for some people, so I'm trying to avoid that again this time. But anyway, that's actually about 10 days from now, so February 25th, it's a 5-night leading into my sailing on MSC Seascape with my sister Heather. So the sort of industry thing that I want to talk about is a topic that's come up a lot recently in the different Facebook groups and, conversations that I've had with people, is this kind of idea or this mentality that's happening where cruise lines are charging more and giving you less. And that's something that's been bothering me for a while now. I think the cruise line that's very much under fire about that right now is Carnival. They tend to cater more towards new guests and are kind of neglecting their VIFP members, their loyalty members, taking a lot of the perks away, etc. It's definitely a much more watered down experience than it was even from the first cruise that I went on with Carnival, which, was only last year. But from what I understand, even from a couple of years ago, it's night and day a different experience, and that's really sad. Carnival's not the only one doing it. I've noticed it on Royal. Some people even said that Celebrity's starting to do it now, which is a surprise to me because that's kind of a higher end brand. And so I'm really hoping that something's going to have to give on that, because they can't all be cutting things and expecting us to pay more for less. Because that's just, not a very good business model and not a very good way to keep long-term customers happy and satisfied. What do you think of that? Have you experienced that? Especially if you cruised like, several years ago and, have cruised multiple times and now you're noticing things as a result of COVID or whatever else. Has there been a significant difference? Do you think that it's not as good of an experience as it used to be? What do you think needs to change? Would you be willing to pay a little bit more to have a better experience, or are you okay with being nickeled and dimed and having a watered down experience? I don't know. I'm kind of torn because, some of the things that cost extra, I don't really care about anyway. So I don't mind, like that I'm not having to pay for them, but then they used to be included and now they're not. And it's not like there's been a price decrease. Like if they were, cutting back prices, but offering everything a la carte, maybe that would be okay. But it seems like they're charging the same amount and offering less and then expecting you to pay more to get those things that used to be included, which to me is not okay. And then the last thing I want to talk about is my moving update. If you've been following, these weekend updates and, kind of my banter for a while, we're in the process of moving. In the next couple of months, we'll be leaving El Paso, Texas, where we currently live, and moving to somewhere in the San Antonio area. We actually have kind of a date of sort of when we'll be looking. We're going at the end of April to look at the different areas around San Antonio, even look at some specific properties and things. So, it's very likely that we'll be moving sometime in the summer. But I imagine that by the holidays this year, we will be settled in over there in San Antonio. And that'll be great for me because that's drivable to both Galveston and New Orleans. And I currently am way too far away from any cruise port to drive. So that's going to save me money on flights and hotels and things, which is a very big deal for me, someone who likes to travel as much as I do. And I think that'll benefit me in the future in that I'll be able to travel more than I do now, which I know is kind of crazy, especially coming off of last year where I did 14 cruises. This year it's going to be less, probably half of that, but that's okay. But moving forward, it'll be nice to have the ability to do like last minute sailings and things without having to worry about flights and hotels and, spending extra money on craziness. But yeah, so that's it for today. Those are my thoughts. I want to thank you all so much for traveling with me. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all those fun things. We'll talk soon, and you all have a lovely weekend.